Welcome back, everyone. So for this week, we're going to be performing the beta-gal activity assay. So this is actually a very simple assay to kind of set up. All we're going to need is the beta-gal reaction buffer, our beta-gal sample, which I have I've diluted down to a concentration of 0.08 mg per ml, and finally the key ingredient, ompg. So for this reaction, all we're trying to see is if our beta-gal is active or not. So we're really just looking for a yes or no answer. So all I'm going to do is set up two reactions. In the first one, it's just going to be a blank where I'll be mixing the buffer with ompg, just to show that the ompg shouldn't be breaking apart on its own. And in the second reaction, I'll be adding the buffer, ompg, as well as beta-gal. So we're kind of figuring that this tube is, if our beta-gal is active, should turn yellow because our ompg should be cleaved into releasing that O-nitrophenyl group. So following with what the manual states, I'm first going to add into the blank 950 microliters of our reaction buffer. All right, and then in the tube, for our experimental tube, I'll be adding 948. Those 2 microliter difference, or the 2 microliter difference, is to compensate for the beta-gal that we'll be adding momentarily. All right, so I've added the reaction buffer. The next step would be to add the beta-gal. So because the blank does not need the beta-gal, I will just be adding it to our actual experimental run. All right, so here is the beta-gal. It's actually 1 mg per ml, so it's made it a little bit higher, just so that we could see something, but I'll be adding it to the experimental tube. So now the last thing we need to add is just the ompg. So for both these tubes, the final volume is about 950 microliters. So to each of these, we'll be adding 50 microliters of ompg. So I'm starting with the blank first because we're kind of assuming that none of this should turn yellow, because this reaction can be pretty fast and we want to catch it as quickly as possible. So I add 950 into the blank. I'll just be closing it up, giving it a little mix. Now, for this last tube, I need to make sure that the moment I add the ompg, I'm ready to move this into the cuvette and put it into the spectrophotometer. So I'm going to add the ompg, and then once I add it, I'll quickly mix it and place this into the spectrophotometer to read at 260 nanometers. So just to show, got my ompg, I add it in, quickly mix it up, and with that I'm going to quickly add everything into the cuvette. All right. So it's been about 20 minutes, so the reaction is now complete. So now when we compare our blank with the actual reaction, we can see that the colors are that we definitely got a reaction to occur. We can see that our blank is still perfectly clear, while our actual reaction has become very yellow. So with this, we can determine that our beta-gal is completely active. So with that, we are pretty much done with the experiment. I will make sure to upload the absorbance readings onto Blackboard so that you guys can form your graphs.